This video is about the Succession series finale, so if you've not seen the series finale yet, or if you don't want to see spoilers, this video is not for you. So go ahead and click out. This video will contain spoilers for Succession. So the very last scene, the very last, sequence is Kendall walking with Colin, or as, he's referred to Col by Logan. He's walking with Colin. Looks like they're in, I believe, Battery Park, some park at the southern tip of Manhattan. And they don't really make it obvious that he's looking south toward what I believe is like Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, that sort of thing. And you can kind of see the Statue of Liberty, I believe. It's very out of focus. They don't like focus in on it and be like, look, Kendall's looking and there's the Statue of Liberty, like for tourists who are watching, like, oh, here's Times Square too. Like, you don't want to see that. You want the focus to stay on Kendall. They did a great job with that. And he's walking, he looks out at the water. And like I said, you can see the Statue of Liberty. It's very out of focus. You can barely see it. If you know it's there, you know it's there. So he's there. He's walking with Colin through a park. And that's exactly what Colin was doing with Logan earlier in the season, right? I believe they were walking through one of the main areas of Central Park that you often see in movies and TV shows, walking on the promenade, Colin's way behind him, just like Colin's way behind Kendall, in the very last scene of the finale. And here's the thing, this is very deep, and I'm not saying this is what they were trying to do. I'm not saying this is what they were trying to do, but this is something that occurred to me, and it may be kind of what they were going for. I'm not really sure. Kendall is where he is, and then in the other park earlier in the season, Logan's there. And Logan's way more uptown, I believe that because he's on the main promenade area, that's like Midtown or whatever, but it's like because it didn't work out for the kids to become the successors, didn't work out for Kendall, didn't work out for Roman, didn't work out for Shiv, obviously wasn't going to work out for Khan. That was never going to happen probably, didn't work out for them. And it's kind of like they're back where they were at the very beginning of the series, right? It's like Roman is definitely back where he was because I don't think he was part of the company in the very first episode of the very first episode of the series, right? He came into the company and, Shiv definitely wasn't part of the company. Kendall was, but he was overconfident and cocky and clearly didn't know what he was doing and all that sort of thing. And Logan knew that. But Kendall's in the park, Battery Park or whatever park that is. If I'm getting the park wrong, it's another named park right next to Battery Park, whatever. He's all the way down there. It's like he returned to where Logan and Ewan came in on the boat to New York, right? If that's how they came in. They said they came in on a boat, a long time ago. That came in the funeral episode, talking about how they had to be quiet on the boat because of U-boats and all that sort of thing. That's where Logan came in to the U.S. That's where Ewan came into the U.S., we think. I don't know if they ever specified they came in through the harbor there, past the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, but let's assume that's what happened. Kendall is looking to where his dad came into the U.S., and he's all the way down the southern tip of Manhattan. And, he's back to where his dad started because he never really achieved anything greater than that on his own, Kendall. Arguably, Logan worked his way up Manhattan, right? He worked his way up. He's up in Central Park. He's that far up. He's doing amazing. Logan was. Kendall, he was riding the coattails of his dad. He's still all the way down the southern tip of Manhattan because he always was someone, arguably, who didn't really achieve a lot on his own. He achieved a lot because he was brought up with a silver spoon in his mouth. His parents, he had so much money, and he's looking out the water. He's like, that's where my dad started. And, how can I ever achieve what he did? I can't now because I can't be the CEO because Tom is the CEO. He's the successor. And I'm just stuck down here. I got to work my way up just like he did. Can I even do that? And so, like I said, I don't know. I'm not saying that's what they were doing because, I'm looking at Manhattan like it's a scale of, going all the way up or whatever. But maybe that's why he was looking out of the water where he was. Maybe that's because his dad and Ewan came out on a boat there. Maybe that's why he was there. Kendall never achieved anything great that we knew because of what he did and not his dad. And maybe that's what that all means. You could look at it a number of ways. I know. And some of you might think that this is way off. Maybe you have your own theories about this sort of thing. And that's fine because a lot of it was not explained about what different things mean, and that's because that allows you to use your imagination, and that's where some shows and TV, some TV shows, some movies do really well. They leave things open to your imagination. When your imagination is flowing with ideas, it does make you like the material more, right? Because you feel involved. You're like, oh, I wonder but if they try to fill in everything for you, if Kendall had walked down to the southern tip of Manhattan and he had looked out the water and the camera zoomed in and showed a shot of the Statue of Liberty fully in focus, I mean, how cheesy would that have been? You can barely tell that that's the direction he's looking out at because that's the kind of show Succession was. They didn't make the show for a dumbed down audience. They made the show, for people like they really respected the audience in the way that they wrote everything, in the way that that the whole show was made. And I love that because you don't see that a lot these days. Sometimes you see stuff being spoon-fed to audiences. And, I think that the way that Succession came out in the end was great. I think that all the seasons are strong. And if I had to rank the seasons, from best to worst, I don't know what the worst season would be because they're all great. I think that all the seasons are great. Season 3 to me was maybe a hair better than any other season, but some of you might have other ideas. Season 4 was really good as well, but it's like looking at season 3, it seemed just a bit better, but season 4 was still amazing. That's what I'm saying. So when you look back at all the seasons and you look at different things that felt certain ways, like Kendall, I thought before this episode started, the series finale, that Kendall was probably going to be the successor, or they were going to be Shiv, and it was going to be like this crazy. I think a lot of people thought that. Not a lot of people thought Tom. Some people might claim they knew, maybe they did, whatever. They dropped hints throughout season 4 that it probably wouldn't be Kendall. Like, yeah, he gave a good speech at the Living Plus thing, but to me, when I was watching, and I was like, is this really a great speech? It's okay. And he delivered confidently, and it didn't seem great. It didn't start great. It wasn't all throughout great speech, but he, in his own mind, thought it was great. And he went out to the ocean at the end of episode 6, and he got in the water, and he was swimming and looking up, and things looked pretty good for Kendall, according to him. I was like, that was good. It wasn't really amazing to me to watch him give that speech, but I knew that to Kendall, he thought he did well. All the other characters told Kendall he did well, whatever. And then, the eulogy, Roman goes up there after hearing about, what Ewan said about the polio and the dog and his sister, Logan's sister. I mean, Roman had to go up and follow that. And Roman didn't know that. You could tell by his face. The kids didn't know that Logan lived his whole life not being able to maybe forgive himself for giving his younger sister polio and killing her, or whatever happened there. Roman had to follow that and go up, and he couldn't do it. And so you think, okay, Kendall got up and he did it. Wow, he's really showing himself to be strong, and he did a great speech in front of all these people, some of whom might decide who is going to be the successor. But before the finale, I was like, okay, it might be Kendall because they're trying to lead you there. But there are little hints along the way that even though he's maybe in a better place than he was in season 1, he's still not ready for the job. Perhaps. And Shiv, could have been ready. She was tough, and she could be a good backstabber or whatever you want to call it, Shiv, But I thought it was going to be Kendall or Shiv. It wasn't. But here's the thing about the characters, the children. The children, we should have known because Logan dropped this hint. I believe that in episode 2, at the end, whenever it was the last time he was in the room talking to his children at the nightclub or whatever, I believe he said, "You are not serious people." He was talking to Kendall, Roman, and Shiv, right? I believe that's what he said. And we should have known right there. That would disqualify them from probably becoming the successor. That's like foreshadowing. It's a good hint. And I didn't pick up on that. I just thought, they're having a family difficulty here with this argument or whatever. But that was another hint. You are not serious people. And because they're not serious people, and because Logan once told Kendall he's not a killer, even though, of course, you could argue that he caused inadvertently the death of the kid in the lake or whatever, whether he did or didn't cause that. He knew Kendall wasn't the material that was needed, even though he wrote down his name, and we'll never know if he crossed it out or if he underlined it. I think that he probably crossed it out because why would he underline it? I don't know. We'll never know that. There's a lot of stuff happening, but that finale scene, I just want to talk about that, how he's looking out to where his dad and his dad's brother probably came into the US through the harbor, Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty. Maybe that's why they chose that location to be the last one you see, with Kendall, Colin far away, and the scene with Logan was in Central Park, way farther uptown, where he had established himself and was like an icon, whether you view him in a positive or negative light or whatever. So comment down below. You might agree with me, you might disagree, you might have theories about other things. And I don't normally make videos like these about TV shows or movies. I often concentrate on other things, you might see if you go and look at my other videos, but I wanted to put these thoughts out there while I had them, because I loved Succession. I thought it was great. I'm so sad it's over. I think before this, the other series that I liked in the last 10 years, 15 years really, it's been that long, were only like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and I don't know what's going to fill this void of Succession being gone, but I hope that something else comes out. Thanks for watching.